If Marcus Aurelius had a credit card, he probably would have burned it at the altar of self-discipline, because this was a man who ruled the most powerful empire in the world, yet chose not to surrender to luxury, vanity, and comfort. Just think about it. You're at the head of the Roman Empire. You have wealth. You have power. You have armies under your command. If you wanted, you could eat magnificent meals in palaces that no one else could ever taste, sleep in the finest beds, and spend your entire life in nothing but pleasure and comfort. But what does Marcus Aurelius do? He reminds himself of simplicity. Sometimes he sleeps on the floor. He eats simple food, and every day he tells himself this: everything you have is temporary. Power is temporary. Wealth is temporary. Fame is temporary. Now imagine leaving him completely alone in the middle of a 21st century shopping mall. Around him there are buy now, pay later campaigns. Annoying ads are constantly popping up on his phone. Social media is constantly telling him the lie that he needs more. Algorithms know his weaknesses better than he does, and everything is pushing him to spend more without thinking, to consume a little more, to want a little more. I think Marcus would look around and ask a very simple but very harsh question. How did freedom become this expensive? Today, financial chaos is seen as an ordinary part of our daily lives. Debt is normal. Credit card debt is almost a necessity. Installments are as necessary as air and water. Living paycheck to paycheck is normal. Constantly trying to keep up with something is normal. But discipline, that is now seen as old-fashioned. Yet around 2,000 years ago, one of the most powerful people in history wrote about how to remain calm in the face of disaster, how to stay rational, how to stay balanced, how to become the master of your own mind. He did not write this for like that would be forgotten a few hours later. He did not write it to gain fake followers. He definitely did not write it to become famous. He wrote it to remind himself. He wrote it to stand alone and upright. Those notes later went down in history as meditations, and between the pages of that book there's a financial wisdom far stronger than we imagine today. Marcus Aurelius was born in 121 AD into immense privilege. He was educated by the best teachers. He was wealthier than almost anyone could ever be. Eventually, he became the emperor of the Roman Empire. But unlike what many people would have done, he did not become drunk on power. He did not turn into a tyrant. On the contrary, he became a philosopher-emperor. He was deeply influenced by Stoic thought. Stoicism was a way of thinking, centered on virtue, moderation, logic, and self-control. Marcus constantly prepared himself for hardship. He tried to accept loss. He learned to let go of the things he could not control, because the life he was living was not easy. He saw people dying in agony because of plagues. He saw innocent people dying in wars. He experienced betrayal from those closest to him. He dealt with economic problems. But when we look back at his writings, we notice something interesting. There is no panic, no complaint, no chaos. It is as if someone who managed to stay calm in the middle of everything, someone managing a crisis, is speaking. Because Marcus was not trying to live a life in a rose garden. His concern was to master his own mind. He lived during one of Rome's most powerful periods. The empire had spread across the entire world. The streets of Rome were filled with luxury goods coming from every corner of the world. Spices, fabrics, jewels, magnificent meals, luxurious lives. But among all of this, Marcus chose simplicity. He tried not to lose himself in excessive pleasure. He never trusted praise. He did not mistake people's applause for real value. For him, the only true wealth was internal, the ability to live with honesty even when the world went mad. It was the ability to preserve your character exactly as it is, even when everything falls apart. It is no coincidence that modern Stoicism has become popular all over the world, again today. But there is a big problem here that we need to be aware of. We take Stoic quotes and turn them into Instagram captions, but we forget the real thing Marcus was fighting against, and that was the human being taken over by his desires. And today, this system is much stronger than it was in Marcus's time, because the system is no longer just complicated. It is designed to throw you off balance both financially and psychologically. Today, personal debt is at record levels in almost every country in the world. Credit card interest rates are burying people in a swamp of debt. Financial literacy is still very low. And almost every digital platform you use pushes you towards spending more. It constantly puts you into comparison with other people. It constantly makes you feel like something is missing. It constantly acts as if you need a better phone, a better car, a better house, a better life. So what happens as a result? Poor people who look rich from the outside but struggle with constant stress on the inside. A society that distributes its salary to debts the moment it receives it. A more anxious, more fragile, and more easily manipulated generation. And a giant financial system built on top of all of this. This system does not always produce real wealth. Sometimes it simply turns your anxiety, your desire, and your insecurity into money. This is exactly where Stoicism becomes revolutionary. Because Stoicism is not about being emotionless. It is not about suppressing emotions either. Stoicism is about not allowing your emotions to rule you, especially when it comes to money. The Stoics said this: "You cannot fully control the outside world. You cannot control the markets. You cannot control wars. You cannot control crises. You cannot control inflation, interest rates, or the economy all by yourself. But you can control how you respond to them." Every day Marcus reminded himself that death, loss, and poverty were part of life. Because thinking about these things did not weaken him. On the contrary, it strengthened him. He knew that desire magnified suffering. He knew that self-control was the foundation of freedom. These were not just beautiful philosophical sentences. They were tools. They were armor against chaos. And they still work today. Just think. What would happen if you approached your money the way Marcus approached power? If you did not chase status symbols, if you did not panic when the market fell, if you did not feel forced to upgrade every time your phone carrier offered you a new model, if you did not look at other people's lives and assume your own life was lacking, if you realize that financial freedom comes not from having more, but from needing less. This perspective is not just a minimalist lifestyle, it is almost a threat to the modern economy, because today's system is built on people constantly consuming. Spend more, borrow more, want more, compare more, feel more incomplete. But if one day you stand up and say, "This is enough for me," the system will not like that. Because the idea of enough is not profitable. Moderation is not profitable. A person who has self-control cannot be easily manipulated, and that is exactly what Marcus did. He saw luxury not as a reward, but as a test. He knew that comfort could soften a person. He believed that constantly seeking ease could weaken character. For him, the only wealth worth having was the kind that could not be taken away from you. Today, most people define wealth by things that can be seen from the outside: a car, a house, a watch, a phone, a bank account. But Marcus would probably call all of these illusions, because real wealth is being able to stand firm even when all of these things are taken from you. If a market crash destroys you, if one interest rate increase completely ruins your budget, if one social media post makes you feel like your life is a failure, maybe the problem is not just money. Maybe the problem is that your inner balance has become too dependent on the outside world. Today, we are not only financially over-indebted, we have also become emotionally overexposed. We react to everything. We compare everything. We see every lack as a crisis. We think abundance is normal, and we perceive discomfort as a mistake. But for the Stoics, discomfort was not a mistake. It was training. Marcus sometimes deliberately lived more simply. He slept on harder beds. He ate less. He reminded himself of this. Pain is not the enemy. The real enemy is dependency. Dependency on praise. Dependency on comfort. Dependency on results. Dependency on other people's approval. Now apply this to your financial life. Imagine being prepared instead of panicking when the market fluctuates. Imagine building cash reserves instead of constantly chasing investment predictions. Imagine reducing unnecessary expenses. Teaching yourself that you can be okay with less. Imagine questioning the belief that money will solve everything instead of trying to silence your anxiety by earning more money. Imagine measuring success not only by your net worth, but by your inner peace. This is exactly what Stoic finance is. And no matter how chaotic the world becomes, maybe this is the kind of financial understanding that can actually survive. Because when we look around, the picture is not very bright. Inflation has returned. Governments continue to borrow. Central banks are trying, on one hand, not to push the economy into recession, while on the other hand, they are struggling with the consequences of the money abundance created before. Meanwhile, most ordinary people do not have serious savings. They do not have a safety zone. They do not have a clear plan. There is only one hope. Surely someone out there knows what they are doing. But history tells us something very clearly. Hope is not a plan. Marcus would not wait for someone to come and save him. Even if the system was broken, he would not simply stand there blaming the system. He would first begin from the only place he could control: himself, his mind, his habits, his expectations. Your power begins there, too. Because you do not need to be a financial expert to build real freedom. First, you need to be clear. What do you truly need? What are you most afraid of losing? And why are you so afraid of it? What are you chasing? Is that goal really yours, or is it an idea of success that was sold to you? Most people do not ask these questions. They simply play the game that was given to them, and the system loves that. Because a person who does not question keeps spending, keeps comparing, keeps borrowing, keeps wanting more. But you are not here to be most people. You are here because a part of you feels that something is not right. It knows the numbers do not add up. It realizes that the idea of success sold to you actually serves others more than it serves you. Maybe what you need is not a new app. It is not a new side hustle. It is not another finance guru shouting investment advice at you. Maybe what you need is something much older, much simpler, and much stronger. Ancient wisdom, spoken quietly, practiced every day. When the markets panic, breathe. When prices rise, simplify. When social media tells you to consume, refuse. When your fear tells you to react immediately, stop. Because in the end, financial freedom is not only about how much you earn, it is about how free you are inside. Marcus Aurelius never had a credit card, but he knew very well the cost of letting your desires rule you. and he also knew the reward of mastering them. This is real wealth. This is real freedom. And whether you live in ancient times or in the modern world, the way to survive chaos is still the same. First, master yourself. If this video gave you a different perspective, do not forget to subscribe to the channel, because history still holds answers, and I will show you where to look.